Hey, welcome back to Bless Your Heart. I'm Carlisle.
And I'm Heather, and this is the first episode of season 2.
We're so excited. This is actually our second attempt at filming episode 1 because last week I was in Charleston during a snowstorm. Like our plans got canceled, and then I still went to Charleston to record this podcast, and then I got struck with the flu. Like my back went out and I was like, screw it, we're going to record it anyway. And so we started recording the podcast. Actually, we recorded the whole podcast, we thought. And then we realized that it had only captured 30 minutes of the recording because someone called my phone and interrupted. And that someone is my husband, who I love dearly. But that was my fault for not putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. We were flowing.
That's a good one.
And then and then
That
I was
was a
like
good one.
and then I was like, "Well, maybe we could just record tomorrow." But I woke up Sunday, the power was out, the water was out. I was so sick. I had to drive back to Greenville in the snow. I, called my husband on the way home crying, but I think it was worth it because when we first recorded, the Epstein files hadn't come out. Now the Epstein files have come out. But also while we were in Charleston, we can talk about some of the experiences that we had. Like, let's talk about our newbie who didn't know what a chemtrail was, who is now a fan of our podcast, which I love. So, we're having conversations everywhere.
Yeah. So as we meet people, we tell them that, we have a podcast. We ask them, what's your favorite conspiracy theory? And, some of them went from, I believe aliens are here, which we both agree with, to one person not knowing what a chemtrail was, to another person actually teaching us something, which we both had no idea about. It was the TWA Flight 100 out of Rhode Island that crashed, that crash. And people are saying, well, was it shot down or no? Was there something wrong with the engine? So it's funny how, when we start telling people as we meet people that we have a podcast and what we talk about, and, you threw out, if you were an alien, would you even know you're an alien? And it gets people just as, people are more comfortable with, throwing any kind of ideas that they thought were a conspiracy theory that they thought was a cool idea and, thought maybe there is some legs to this.
Yeah, so it's so crazy. I mean, it's really even funnier because it's not only like we're talking to strangers and we're like, "Oh, hey, what conspiracy theory are you into?" We're meeting people, you're introducing me to friends for the first time, and we're like, "Hey, what are you doing in town?" I'm like, "Here to film the podcast." And we're like, "What's your favorite conspiracy theory?" All within 30 seconds of meeting someone, which is hilarious. Like even on our trip to the BVI's, we were out there, we had our captain, we had our chef who we had complete strangers a couple days before from complete different walks of life than us. And we're like, hey, want to hear about our podcast? And we put it on and we're listening to it outside of Sabre Rock in the British Virgin Islands while the creeps are over on their private islands just down the way doing, God knows what. And then the Epstein files released. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the British Virgin Islands. We just got back from a bucket list trip for Heather's 40th birthday. We did 5 nights sailing around the BVI's. We hit up Yost Van Dyke. We hit up Tortola. We hit up Virgin Gorda. We made our rounds and we got to see some things. We had some fun discussions with our captain and the chef who are from different worlds. We saw some crazy things, like we saw a pyramid. We were outside of these billionaires' private islands. So it's like, Heather, what was your favorite part of 5 nights in the BVI's?
Gosh, I mean, there's so many things that I love, but the favorite island, I mean, it's hard. I love Yost Van Dyke, going to Soggy Dollar because the water's just gorgeous. But I have to say, my absolute favorite was Virgin Gorda and just hanging with the locals, swimming in the baths and then going to the top of the baths and just taking the scenery in.
Pause. Okay, pause. You leave out the best parts of the story for our audience, but let's like give them a little bit of a picture of how we got to the baths. We decided to go to the baths in the caves, and it's a place that you can really only get to via water unless you drive the complete island. So our catamaran, they dinghied us in, and you have to swim like 100 yards into shore. So the guys were like, "We're not into that. We don't want to do that coming back." So we're gonna figure something out. And I'm like, great. I have my bathing suit and my swim shoes, and that's it. And like, we're like, all right, let's roll. So then we're at the baths. We explored that, and they're like, we just go up these stairs. So you go up these stairs, then all of a sudden there's this restaurant, right? So it's a restaurant where most people come in at, but that was kind of the starting point to our adventure. And then from there, Heather and her husband were like, let's just take a taxi and tell them,
Yeah.
like, what kinda happened from there.
So, because we had been there before, so we know you can pretty much get a taxi from wherever. So they put you in the back of a pickup truck. Nothing fancy. Don't expect anything fancy if you go. So we go heading towards Hog Heaven, which is a good 10-15 minute ride. And on the way, the taxi driver has to stop at the bank and the post office, which is in the same spot in Virgin Gorda, which is cool. Then we also had to drop off a package to the port, so, we made a couple errands, and then we went to Hog Heaven, had the best ribs. You can take great pictures of North Sound from up there, and of course, there was nobody there, and our energy always brings people, so then by the time we left, it was completely crowded. Got in the
Oh,
same
you're forgetting another big part is that we rode on the back of a pickup truck in the open air up, like, a 45-degree pitch all the way up to the top of the island where our truck was struggling. I was like, "Is this vehicle going to get us to the top of this mountain?" So it's like it's not just like a little skip and hop up. It's like a full-on adventure to get to Hog Heaven. And yes, the ribs were the absolute best.
And you can also check out the videos and stuff on our TikTok. Carlisle's put some of those up there. So you can also see exactly what she's talking about, how high and steep it was, because you're literally like sliding in your seat in the back of this pickup truck. But once you get to Hog Heaven, you got to go back down there. So we get our taxi, and then he drops us off at Leverick Bay. And Leverick Bay, if you don't know, it's another marina, so it's an easy access spot for our captain to pick us up from the dinghy. You can also hang out there. They've got a pool, you can jump in the ocean, you can eat. They have a restaurant. They have jumpies every Friday night, which we ended up enjoying. But then we went back to the boat, had some lunch, and then continued on to North Sound where we got to see Sabre Rock and have dinner there and celebrate my birthday again. We got to see, what was the little dog that came on the boat? What was that?
Uh, the rum runner came, but the rum runner came, so the rum runner comes and sees your dog, but to really kind of touch on another point that just dawned on me is after we went to the top via truck, the next day after Sabre Rock, you were like, "Hey, let's go on a hike." It's like a super easy hike. My husband and I have done it before, barefooted and after a couple of cervezas, if you know what I mean. And so we're like, cool. It's called the Bitter End Yacht Club. So much to do in this area of Virgin Gorda. So cool.
Mm.
So many things to do. But Heather is like, literally catfish me into this hike. We get there. The guy at the desk is like, we can't even. He basically is like winking at you, like this hike doesn't exist. Wink, wink. Walk down to the dumpsters at the end and then take a ride. And so they can't even for legal purposes tell you that this hike exists. So then we're like willy-nilly following these people, stop to ask them to make sure that they weren't going to lead us to some like serial killer scene or something in the forest. They were in fact going on the hike. We get up right past the dumpsters into a rock field, like a giant field with a rope down it that you had to climb up. And that's when Heather and her husband were like, peace out.
Yeah. Sandals were not gonna make it if I kept going.
So luckily, I had the captain with me, and I did this hike on my like a little over a mile straight uphill. I was huffing and puffing, and the whole time I just kept thinking to myself as I'm, like, rappelling across the rocks is, "Oh my gosh, Heather did this after a couple of drinks in a bathing suit, like, in flip-flops." I just kept thinking to like, "This was not easy."
Uh,
Do not do it by
I
much
don't know.
fun, though. The
It is. It's good extra.
the
Great
BVI
video.
yeah, the view was next level. The BVIs, so much to do, really into it. We saw a pyramid, we forgot to mention
Mhm.
that. We weren't able to ever confirm where it was, but when we were sitting at the top of the baths, you could, like,
You did.
see this
Yeah.
pyramid, and then they said it was a copper mine, which makes it even more suspicious, surrounded by private islands owned by billionaires. Like, Virgin Gorda is surrounded by all of those private islands, right?
Yeah, so what's very interesting is the first time, my husband and I got to go to Save Rock was, we also that same day we landed, we got to go to Necker Island. Well, Necker Island, if nobody knows, is Richard Branson's island, Sir Richard Branson. Well, you start to wonder, did he make the Epstein list? Well, yeah, he did. And when I went there back in 2015, 2016, I didn't know any of this. And so we went to Necker Island, and my red flag went up when he asked us for our social security number when we were going as just a tour of the island because he has all these endangered species on there. He has lemurs, tortoises, flamingos. I mean, he has all kinds of animals and stuff there. So we were there just to see that, not to see any of his property or anything. And that was before the hurricane. Richard Branson has his own island there. He also has Mosquito Island, which I think that's where he might live mostly now instead of Necker. But there's also right beside Necker Island is Larry Page's island. Google.
Was he on the list?
I think so.
But it's, like, so crazy because 'cause we're sitting there on vacation and, it's like horrendous things could be going on right next to you, and you have no
I
idea. It's like you're sitting there in your own little bubble on your boat, but then there's, like, all these billionaire yachts around, like, parties going on everywhere. You really have no idea what is up. So, let's talk about our Go ahead.
Especially on the yachts. It kinda goes back to, like, the whole, St. Bart's where a lot of the yachts go, a lot of these same celebrities go. It's kinda the same thing. It's like you go to these islands and everything seems normal, but then you have these yachts and anything goes on these yachts. And I think that's where a lot of this stuff really could be happening unless you own your own island. Then things can go on underneath. And these islands, if you notice like Necker and Larry Page's island, they're all very steep. So they could easily have something underneath the ground. I mean, they could easily have, I don't know, loaning centers, a whole nother world. You wonder how far down they actually go if there is something underneath them. Could they even possibly be tunnels that could link to a submarine that could possibly be linked to Ghislaine Maxwell? Could they be linked to her? And is that how they were moving a lot of these people around were the submarines? I mean, just all the different questions and all the different things that I've read about start to come up when you're down there.
I
Just seems
mean,
very normal.
could they you really think they have submarines in the British Virgin Islands? I mean, I guess it is the Atlantic Ocean, so right around that whole little circle, it has to be pretty deep. That's something to think about. The water is super clear there, but
Yeah.
it's just like it's their villain layer. We're looking at these yachts and we're like, "What's going on the yacht?" But, like, really, what's going on the private island where you have your own security, you have your own police force, really, and, like, you're kind of insulated from the rest of the world. Yes, like, it's these islands are right there, but, like, we have no idea what's going on 100 yards away from us on this island. They could be stashing kids away, and then I saw that I don't know if you've seen the movie Blink Twice, but you have got to watch it if you haven't.
Uh-uh.
It's done by Zoe Kravitz, and it's about this drugging on these islands where you come and you have no idea what happened to you. You take this drug and, like, you think that you're having fun, but really at night you're, like, blacking out and they're doing all of these crazy sadistic things to you. But during the day, you have no recollection. You're just like, "Oh, man, I got really messed up last night. Like, what happened?" You have no idea that they're doing horrendous things to you, and then it comes out with the Epstein files that the backdrop for the movie Blink Twice is exactly the same as Epstein's Island. Like, you can Google the set from the movie, and you can Google pictures of the island, and it's the
They
exact
match.
same. So Zoe Kravitz was trying to tell us, like, that is so crazy. They hypothetically drugging people, so they invite you to their island. You're like, "Yeah, this is
Mhm,
so much fun." They're
mhm.
drugging you. You have no idea at night they're doing these crazy, crazy things to you. And then the next morning you're waking up at breakfast and you're like, "Oh man, last night was like, what happened?" And everybody's like, "Oh no, it was fine." And
He
you're
didn't
like,
fart. Hey, yeah, 100%. They always have to tell us somehow, right? And they always put it in movies.
"Oh yeah." And then all these celebrities, Pizzagate is real. In the Epstein files, they talk about pizza and grape soda far too many times. And then they're
Yeah.
referring to beef jerky, which they now think they've decoded beef jerky for being like human flesh. Like, I need an 8-ounce portion of beef jerky. Do you think you can have that delivered to me? Or like, I'm going on a beef jerky diet. So I'll give you my stash of beef jerky to sustain you since I'm going to like cut out the beef jerky for a while.
Like the Obama flew in $60,000 worth of hot dogs. That was another.
Like, what grown up is having a pizza party? Also, all these celebrities are also like, "Oh, you had such a great pizza party." When was
Yep,
the last time that you went oh,
an
and then, like,
adult.
not only, like, adult pizza parties, but, like, people with unlimited amount of money, you're gonna tell me that they're just, like,
Cookie
throwing
Tuesday.
pizza parties all the time? I was right. I think that each week, as the files kind of people start sifting through them and we're seeing what's going on, we should like have a spotlight moment. So let's talk about a couple of the things that we learned from the files. Like, two of the things that I've learned from the files, Michael Jackson was actually saving the children from the creepy man down the road, which he has some very famous neighbors, but he was painted to be this monster who was diddling kids, and really, he was trying to save these kids from Hollywood. Macaulay Culkin would never flip. He rode so hard for Michael Jackson. He
Yep.
was like, we did nothing inappropriate. You don't even understand. And he stood by him. And really, what it was all these sickos around him. So Michael Jackson had to live knowing that he was trying to save people, and they flipped the script on him. And then Britney Spears, they're saying, where they were doing psychological experiments on her, like hundreds of emails about it.
Yeah. It's just so sad to me how this whole time, like, I really thought Michael Jackson for the longest time, I really did think that he was the. And then when I started waking up, it was during the 2020. I mean, that's when I recently was like, oh my God, Michael Jackson isn't even the bad guy. Poor guy this whole time. It's like if you decide after you sell your soul that you decide that you don't want to be a part of this anymore, they will make sure that the rest of the normies, i.e., us, think that you're the problem and not the real ones behind the curtain pulling all the strings. And I really did. I really thought Michael was the bad guy.
There's so much crazy stuff in the files. Like, I have my mind is slowing. So let's think about it for a minute. Vampires, they're now saying vampires are for sure real. Obviously, if they're doing like sacrifices, blood rich, like they using the blood to keep them young. Now these Gilded Age guys that had 35 bedrooms in their estate, like George Vanderbilt, like, to
Yep.
me, look a little bit more suspicious. They look a little bit more suspicious. Why did you need 35 bedrooms? Type thing.
Mhm.
Like, what was
Mhm.
going on there? Has anybody seen the movie The Hunt? They literally hunt humans,
Yeah.
allegedly. Allegedly, of course. Rich people outspend and outbuy what they can obtain. The most rare thing you can obtain is a human life. And
Yeah.
they're sick freaks. I want to get into our bless your heart moments. My bless your heart moment is my friend lives somewhere outside of where I live. She manages a very nice property for 55 and up people, for like very wealthy 55 and up people. Someone broke in to their complex last night, possessed, like barking like a dog on all fours, and attacked one of their residents, like horrific bites all over his back, jumped from the second story atrium, like into the pool, full on. Someone broke into their place and definitely, in my opinion, was possessed. I heard rumors that the Super Bowl was, like, opening up some kind of portal. So my bless your heart moment is, like, portals are real, demons are real, like, keep your head on a swivel because even the government is warning that, like, Al Qaeda and terrorist groups are, like, back on the loose. So you know they're gonna try some messed up stuff coming up.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl because I don't ever watch the Super Bowl, but I heard it the last couple years, it was very satanic, or at least the halftime show was very satanic looking. Was it this year? Did you watch it at all?
And watch it, especially when I read they were gonna be opening up a portal. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm not watching the Super Bowl. My husband says I catfish him all the time because I come from a sports family and can give, like, 2 flying flips about sports. I'm like, "Who cares? Been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Yay, sports."
Yeah. My bless your heart of the week, is you know how all right, so first, you know how you can use bless your heart several different ways? So let's use bless your heart in a go RFK Jr. in a way, positive way. He flipped the food pyramid and I'm calling this "I bless your heart" because it's kind of a joke that in 2020 you're just now flipping the food pyramid when we've all known for years that it's completely backwards. It makes no sense why we should all eat bread, pasta, rice, cereal, crackers, saltines as our main meal instead of eating vegetables, lean meats, proteins, healthy fatty oils and things like that. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer that we probably shouldn't be eating a ton of bread. I mean, our bread in America is so different from the bread even in any other part of the world. It's so unhealthy compared to any other parts of the world. And who knows how many chemicals they put in our food, in our bread and stuff like that. But, cereal, I brought this up specifically for me because I grew up eating cereal. I grew up eating, the Frosted Flakes, the Cocoa Puffs, all the fun cereals that we love, even Eggos. And now it's coming out that, they say it's full of vitamins, but they're synthetic vitamins. And now we have all these people that are diabetic. It makes you wonder this food pyramid that the way it used to be in the 1990s, why did the government make it that way? Were they trying to have all these people become diabetics? Were they trying so more people would have to go get more medicine, insulin, go to the doctor more, have more medical bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and big pharma just get bigger and bigger and bigger? It's just, I'm glad we finally changed it. South Park even made an episode on this a long time ago. And usually South Park is like The Simpsons, right? They're either predicting or they already know what's going on. So that just tells me right there.
I know the food pyramid is such a crazy one, and people can say whatever they want about RFK Jr., but he's actually like he's putting his money where his mouth is, to like metaphorically speaking, as like he said he was gonna get stuff done with this administration, and like I feel like he has tried. No matter like if you're on the left
Yeah.
or you're right, I am more staunchly now than ever anti politics, especially with the Epstein files. Like they are all nasty, nasty, vile individuals, all of them. I mean, even we can go into a whole saga about the homeless guy that I'm helping, but like he chooses to be homeless. He's 82 years old, but he has a son who is a state representative. And when I told him that his father was out there on the street really struggling and having a hard time during these cold times, he
Mhm.
basically was like, he chooses to do that. That's his bed. He needs to lay in it. Like he has plenty of money to get off the street, but obviously he has mental issues if he's on the street. And it's no shade because I can't say anything. I have people very close to me that have written off, immediate family, and everybody has their story. But in my eyes, when you are an elected official of the government, you are held to a higher standard, especially when you run on family and faith, and your
Mhm.
biggest endorsement is one of the largest religious institutions in this, like in the Southeast, or not
Yeah.
largest, but very prominent. So, like, you're backed by a religious organization, you're running on faith and family, and your dad's out there on the street. And it's like making my blood boil because I, for 2 weeks, have been trying to make sure that this man is staying alive. And I get that he wants to be on the street. It's not that, it's
Yeah.
just exceptional circumstances, man. So I want to like reflect while I'm on my soapbox. No, let's reflect. I kind of want to talk about since it's 2026 now, we had planned to do this a little bit earlier in January, but obviously I got the flu and life happens. Let's reflect a little bit back on our journey last year, where we started and like how far we've come because I can't believe we started talking about this in February last year. Fast forward to the summer is when we actually started like filming things, getting
Really?
B-roll, getting our feet wet with stuff. And then
Yeah.
we really started doing episodes like September. So we busted out 14 episodes, 12 episodes, 2 bonus episodes, several trips in 1 year. And I think we're actually like really starting to reach people because everywhere I go, people want to talk about conspiracies. I want to make it light. We want to make it fun. So we want feedback along this journey of like, what do you like? What do you not like? This next year, we want to talk about like the systems that were built to save us are actually formulated and formed to help a few at the top play the system and scam us all. So we don't want to fearmonger. We don't want to bring people down. We just want to wake people up because the more that we know about it, the less they can just get away with doing these things to us and taking advantage of us and keeping us down. And so what did you learn this last year?
To question everything and that there is no dumb question. And I think, you know, me turning 40 was also a transition year, but we learned that 2025 was a big transition year for everybody. It was a 9 year, which is the end of a cycle. When things come to fruition, when something ends. Now we're in a 1 year, new beginnings. So it kind of makes sense. 2025 was also what, a snake year. So you shed your skin. Another
Yes,
term.
yeah. So we're going to talk about that leads us to
Yeah.
start talking about the Chinese zodiac. But do you have anything else to add before we hop into the Chinese zodiac?
No, I mean, we just need to keep rolling. I think more and more people, I definitely, from what I'm learning, there are some like higher energies coming to Earth where more people are starting to kind of wake up and starting to question things. So the things that you and I talk about, more people might just take one thing and say, oh my God, and run with it and actually let go on their journey of awakening. So yeah, I think it's the best time for our podcast, honestly.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Chinese zodiac. If you are into that kind of thing, and it's just really, I think it came on my radar this past year, but it's really been on my radar going into 2026 because I was trying to figure out like why all of our friends had such chaotic 2025s and like huge life events. And so then it came across my page the Chinese zodiac. And for 2025, it was the year of the snake, which means shedding of your layers, shedding of your skin. So everything that wasn't for you started falling off. So if you were trying to force things, you had a lot of friction. If you were trying to force relationships that weren't meant to be, like they just like fell off suddenly. Jobs fell off, a lot of change, a lot of sickness, a lot of time for deep kind of contemplation. And luckily, because the year is still really chaotic with these snowstorms and everything going on, it is still technically 2025 according to the Chinese until
Mhm.
February 17th. Then we are going into the year of the horse. So do you want to talk about what you've learned about the year of the horse so far?
The fiery horse, or the fire horse, whichever you would like to call it. This is if you are wanting to take like a leap into something, if you are wanting to be courageous and be bold, like take chances. This is the year to do it. It's also a 1 year, so it's kind of like perfect that it's a fire horse and a 1 year. What else did we learn? We
It's
learned that it's also your
Oh
year.
yeah, it's my year, but it's a reset year for everyone. But I'm a metal horse. I was born in May 1990, and it's a fire horse year, which means I thought for me it meant boom, bang, gonna be a great year. But apparently that's not the case. It's a reset year. So I'm just going to focus on it's not meant for stagnation. I need to keep focusing on like the things that I'm doing right now. Like I don't need to pivot a lot this year. I need to like take what I've been working on and nurture it and let it grow. It's a time to be bold, but to be bold patiently. And I did find out that like when it's your year, so like it being my horse year, it's called Ben Ming 9, and I will put that on the screen, but it's my Ben Ming 9 year. So if I'm not focused, it can be complete chaos. Hope for focus years, a focus year ahead. Things that I read that you can do, wear red. I already went ahead and got my red band. Red is lucky. On the 17th, February 17th, you cannot cut up any vegetables or anything, like no knives, no scissors. Don't clean your house, don't vacuum. Like if you sweep, you're sweeping away your good fortune. If you cut into things, you're like cutting your ties. So clean everything up before the 17th. And then the 17th should be like super chill day. Apparently, eat some citrus, eat some fish, and that'll bring in like good luck for the year because it can be a good year for you or it can be a really awful year for you. So we are going to manifest. It's going to be great year. We're flowing, right?
Or poet. Yeah, for me, it's definitely I'm supposed to kind of let the reins of control go, which was good. It's going to be a challenge. Apparently, I'm going to have not a full difficult year, but I'm going to continue to transition, continue to change in my life. So it's going to probably be another bumpy road for 2026 for me, but I'm ready for it. So we'll see what comes.
I do a word of the year, and this year my word is emerge. So I want to see how like I can emerge into the bold, brave, fearless version of myself because I think everybody thinks I'm fearless, but like I really have this fear of being seen and shining. So anytime like my star becomes a little too bright, I feel like I dim it. So I really want to like hold back or like I really want to not hold back and
Yeah,
have
don't
no
hold
fear.
back.
Yeah. I really wanna not hold back and have no fear because it's like this past year, my word was flourishing, and, like, I really feel like I flourished. Like, my husband had a really hard year, but I flourished, and before that, my word was peace, and before that, balance, and all of those things have really, like, played out in my life. So, like, I wanna see how I am going to emerge, and have you picked a word for yourself?
Yes, mine is be neutral. So I think it's perfect actually once we found out my zodiac and how it aligns with the horse because I'm an ox because I was born January 1986. And so it kind of goes hand in hand that so I need to be more neutral. I need to let go of control, let go of the reins a little bit, see how it all kind of shakes out. I need to also be more neutral when I'm around people and I hope other people can understand this. As we're starting to awaken, it's very difficult to go back and hang out with people that have no idea what I'm talking about, that are almost on what I call another timeline. Like, I literally, in my head, I think they're on a different timeline right now because crazy and I think they're crazy. So I'm going to be more neutral this time around. I'm going to take in what other people say, not try to combat, maybe not even say anything, maybe not even plant a seed at all, but just be more neutral, accept what others say, and not get upset about it because I can already, I'll feel my heart start pounding. So I know I need to like chill out because obviously it's affecting me. But, yeah, neutral is my word of 2026.
I know, the Chinese zodiac for, like, us specifically, when I asked about, like, our podcast, it was saying that we need to focus, like, less on, like, the burn it down aspect and more on, like, the pattern recognition, opening the curtains, kinda like in The Wizard of Oz, seeing the man behind the curtain. So we don't need to, like, be coming at everybody, trying to convince them that there's gonna be some alien invasion and that it's gonna be crazy and like everybody live in fear and like end times are coming. We just need to be like, hey, you might be getting played a little bit. And we want to show you how, what we figured out, and maybe how we can like change it as a collective, you
Yeah.
know?
Or maybe just start questioning things every once in a while that the government tells you that it can go through your teacher, the police officer. It goes so deep. I mean, talking about these Epstein files, the people that are on that list, they had help getting these kids. They had help, getting access to where nobody knew how they were getting there. I mean, TSA had to know, the police had to know. the a teacher had to know. I mean, Epstein took kids from schools. So you had principals that were involved. You had, I don't know, did you have teachers? Did you have even the guy that
Well,
cleaned the, I mean, it could go on. It's just, it's so many different people. So just start questioning things is all we're saying. And that's what and that's what this podcast is that we just like to question things. And that's how our conversations have always been is like we question stuff and then we teach each other things that we think about that we've researched, right?
yeah, I think a lot of the general people, if they are a part of a cog in the system, it's not necessarily that your everyday person is nefarious. I think systems are just set up to be taken advantage of and for vulnerable people to fall through the cracks. You even have like the new allegations that Life Touch, the photos that you got for
Oh
your yearbook
yeah.
every year, that they were using those to like identify children. And then it's like this whole psychological psyop of the children and the like it was either this I think it was the 70s, the children on the side of the milk carton that were missing. Every Sunday, people would see like new kids that were missing. So it became a thing that missing kids were everywhere. And it's not that I don't think that people didn't report them. I just think that in certain places, there's so many people that go missing that it's just kind of another one you can all the people that are well-meaning, like your police detectives or teachers, there's only so much they can do. There's only so much screaming from the rooftops they can do about it. Like, I personally my personal belief is it's not like your everyday citizen is out there doing nefarious things. I think there are a lot of people that are cogs in a bigger system and don't even realize it or are kind of helpless.
Or they could be getting paid off.
To
Well,
do
what
yeah.
they might not know is the whole I'm just saying, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that there's some people that get paid off to do one piece of it. They might not know what the whole story or what's eventually gonna happen, but they get paid to do one piece of the story. I had gone down a rabbit hole a couple years ago, and I learned that come to find out, the kids that were on the cartons, you know how they always had a younger picture and then a picture of what they would look like today? What I
Yeah.
was learning is that those pictures are actual pictures of those kids, and that those were the kids that they were trafficking, and that they were putting them on the milk cartons as like in your face. Yeah, and if that's true, that's fucked up, and it's so messed up, but the Amber Alert, there should be an Amber Alert going off every hour with because there's that many kids going missing, and there's not, and the milk carton pictures, there was never enough pictures of these kids, so it's like, I know the parents reported those kids missing, but it's like, after it went to the cops, after it went to the police station, what happened, you know?
I mean, yes, but, like, on the flip side of that, people leave home, run away from home all the time. I think that there are
Yeah.
nefarious people that are very well equipped at spotting vulnerable people, that it would be easy for
1,000%.
them to slip through the cracks. I mean, because then you have something like allegedly John Benet Ramsey could have been part of some sort of big trafficking circle, but look how much headlines that made because she had a good family and lived in an affluent neighborhood. It's a lot easier to take the kid from the person like down the street that's hooked on crack who really just doesn't have the mental capacity to even worry
Mhm.
about if their child is missing or probably just ran away from home or it's like there are all these systems in place. Like we have nonprofits that are put in place to help us, right? But then like you have people being trafficked through some of these nonprofits. You
Yeah.
have these systems like adoptions that are put in place to like help vulnerable children, but then like those systems are used to like traffic children and do nefarious things. So I think that we just need to take a bigger look at the programs. And that's what I want to do this season is like talk about the systems that have been put in place to help us, but really have been built out that could be taken advantage of. Because like I think the more that it's simple things like nonprofits, right? When you go
Yeah.
to the cash register and you round up for the homeless, the children's food bank or whatever, you round up that dollar, they are getting to make that donation on your behalf and they're getting the tax write off and you paid the money. So it's like
Yeah.
you should be making these donations and you should get the tax write off. But it's just another PR play on how they look like the good guy, but they're not actually doing a single thing to help out. So
Yeah.
I just want to kind of like, let's peel back. Let's look at the patterns. Let's look at some things. Let's talk about it. Let's get our minds kind of speculating and having some fun in like a not so dark way.
Right now.
Yes, let's do like a rapid, your top five favorite. I'll talk about my top five favorite and then
All
we'll
right.
wrap it up.
All right. Top ones that we'll talk about in depth later. Project Zypher, Project Pogo. Those are kind of one and the same. I want to go more into the food pyramid because it goes into the grocery industry, goes into like the big manufacturers and how they put shit in our food and our everything. And then also how music can heal even cancer, especially a 432 hertz. What about you?
Right. So I did hear that they're using sound frequency and sound healing to literally bring them into hospitals for destroying cancer cells. But
Yeah.
what I want to talk about and look more into is I am so intrigued by with the GATE program because both myself and my husband and my nephew, when he was in public school, they were part of the GATE program. Like they pulled you out of class, they made you do these weird like word puzzles, figure out who the robber is, or can you speed read this upside down? And I always thought they were just like fun little brain teasers, but I think that they were really there to test like our psychic abilities and see like who was out there in the psychic world, right? So whatever came of that, I'm seeing all these videos on TikTok, which makes me think that maybe the government's like trying to figure out where all these kids went. Maybe it's really just a ploy to watch us all, but we can look into that. I also want to talk about, I believe that there's going to be a fake alien invasion in 2026 because aliens are already here. Just so everyone knows, my opinion is that aliens are already here. I think they're going to Project Blue Beam us and have some fake alien invasion to try to usher in this one world order. And if, as you've seen in like politics recently, they've been already talking about one world order. So like the whispers are there. And then lastly, I really want to get into education and how history is completely made up in our books at school. It's like a total fantasy fairy tale. We have no idea what real history was and what real education is because the education system is the biggest psyop to make factory workers that don't use their critical thinking skills. After watching my nephew struggle so hardcore and having to be pulled out, which I was like screaming from the roofs, like, hallelujah, another one broke free of the system. It really made me start thinking about everything, especially with my ADHD and like how there's this whole system built around quote unquote normies. But what about the rest of us? So I want to dive into that and then talk about ADHD in general because that's so huge in my life. So we've been talking about it so much, not so much that it's a conspiracy. I mean, it is a huge conspiracy because it's tied to our diet. And ChatGPT told me if I moved to Europe, like 86 to 95% of my mental things that I struggle with would probably just vanish. My inflammation would like vanish.
Probably
So they're poisoning us. So we're gonna talk about the food system. We're gonna talk about education. We're gonna talk about some aliens. It's gonna be a fun, a fun
season 2.
season.
It's going to be a great season 2.
I really can't wait to see what this year brings and how it shakes out, especially because we've looked into our Chinese zodiac. And I really want to see when we get to the other side of next year. The last thing that I saw is like the Chinese zodiac said this year it's going to be scary at first, like to take the leap. But like if you take that leap, it can unlock like your greatest desires. So it's like a quantum leap of faith year if you use it right. So let's burn away those old karmic cycles. We're going to lead with confidence. We're going to lead with leadership. We're going to be self aware, very important this year. And then we're going to keep questioning everything because, like, bless your heart if you believe the lies they told you. Honestly, if you still believe the government has your best interest at heart, like, seriously, bless your heart. But we can get you there. We can get you there. We're not here to judge. We're just here to help you question things, right?
Yes. Just start questioning things. That's all you have to do.